fan? You a Cubs fan?
I would like to tell you I am. I've been to Wrigleyville. I didn't go to the baseball game though.
You never been to a game there?
No, I have not.
So this is
Have
your
not.
first trip to there.
First time in the stadium.
And are you a baseball fan? Do you have a team?
I am a baseball fan. I grew up a Boston Red Sox fan only because they had spring training down there where I'm from. So,
okay, so that's.
Pedro Martinez, diehard Pedro Martinez fan. So
Did you play or not?
I did. Aaron, with a name like Aaron Henry, you damn right I played. Right, for sure. I grew up playing baseball, and obviously infamous Hank Aaron, Henry Aaron. But yeah, I played all the way up until high school. My senior years when I stopped playing. I was trying to focus more so on basketball, football, and track.
The uniqueness of playing in that venue. Have you ever played in a baseball stadium? Have you coached in a baseball stadium?
I've never played football in a baseball stadium. No, I haven't. But
okay.
I guess it is unique. But I guess growing up where I'm from, like we just try to find a blade of grass and play football anywhere.
Sure.
And so you kind of lose sight of that a little bit. Like growing up where I'm from, like we used to play football near a graveyard. So you talk about spooky and like different, right? That's a tad bit different, but it'll be fun, right? It's still 100 yards, and the guys are excited about it, and we're excited about it. But I think it'll be pretty cool just to be in that atmosphere and be in that environment,
And then the last one for me, Northwestern. Have you an appreciation for that series here? Because obviously you saw it at Wisconsin earlier. How's that feeling for you?
Well,
Going against Wisconsin.
Going against
Northwestern.
Yeah. It's always obviously this game's a rivalry game, and
right.
I think you got to respect that despite what their record is, despite what they've gone through this season. You know what I mean? They got a tough team, right? They got some really good coaches over there. We lost to them here last year,
right.
And so we have to establish that there has to be a level of respect when you're playing a team of this caliber, and I think with our guys, they truly understand that, right? On top of that being a trophy game. We've talked about the hat all week, right? We've got pictures of it. We've obviously shown our players the importance of having the hat and the rivalry, and so they'll be more than ready, and I think the kind of guys we have in this building, right? Obviously playing for Coach B and obviously working for him now. There won't be a day that goes by that they don't understand the value going into this game, and especially it being a rivalry game.
Kind of two different third down outcomes from Michigan State to Rutgers. What was the difference? Was it just a matter of more manageable thirds for them?
Yeah, specifically doing a better job on first down. Second down within a drive, I thought we did a pretty good job at it. But it's the first down, right? First down, they were picking up 7-8 yards on first down, and making second down somewhat rather short, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. Right, which was getting them to 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1 in some scenarios, and so I think there has to be a sense of urgency. We spoke about that at detail after the game, and obviously throughout the course of the week. Just in getting lined up. I think coming off of the heels of the Michigan State game, guys were kind of, because we were able to get in sub packages, guys were kind of just, hey, dude, these guys are going fast, right? These guys are going in tempo, and yeah, those are all things that we practice. You know what I mean? And but you get to week 11, you would think that they have some understanding for that, and it's just continuing to harp on like the small final details of, right, we got to have some urgency getting lined up to even give ourselves a chance to play the short yardage situation when we're in it. But it was the most important thing was probably first down, because they picked up a couple yards on first down, which made it second and short, and they were on track, and that made third down relatively, they converted 8 third downs, and I think 9 of them were 3rd and 3 or less. Every third down that was over 5 yards, they didn't convert on it, right? And so that was a great testament to our I spoke to that at length with our players, right? Like, we got to be a really good first and second down. We got to earn the right to get to third down. 3rd and long, 3rd and medium, right? We can't have a bunch of 3rd and shorts. You ask any football team to get 1 yard, right, at a relatively 1 to 2 yards at a relatively decent rate, right, especially throughout the course of the game. I think most teams will be able to do that, right? And so just keep harping on the details, right? So those are things that you think you got it figured out sometimes as players, and that's another thing you can take from and learn from. And there's been a lot a lot of detail in that regard, though, making sure we have urgency, and getting lined up.
What's some challenges to defending that? The short passing game, the underneath stuff, the dink and dunk stuff. Are you expecting to see more of that this week?
Yeah, I think the challenge is always a challenge and balance. In order to defend that, you're lining up against really good players. Rutgers has some really good wide receivers. And they made some really good catches. I think the quarterback was 18 to 36, right? And he was able to run around and scramble a little bit, just like this young man at Northwestern is, And so there has to be a level of detail when you talk about us making sure we're in our proper lanes rushing, right? We play a lot of man-to-man on those third downs, which guys have their back turned, right? You got a single high safety. And so when that happens and the quarterback starts running around, it's kind of hard to leave your man and go and tackle somebody when you can't see him, And so there are some things from a schematic standpoint. There are some things from a man-to-man zone standpoint that obviously we can fine-tune. But, I think at the end of the day, it's about winning your one-on-one. We had ample opportunity to tackle and win our one-on-ones. And, at times we did and at times we didn't. And we didn't do it consistent enough. Everything about that game was – we had the ability to lose that game, right? Thank God for Pat Bryan and Coach Lundy and our offense, right? Doing their thing on that last drive. But, the most disappointing thing for me was we talk about situational football all the time and we didn't execute, right, towards the latter part of the game, right, how we're capable of executing, right? We had some guys blow some of their responsibilities and bust some of their coverages and their responsibilities, which is not what you want in things that we've been running consistently. And so, just trying to make sure, right, guys understand that I was able to be really, really hard on them throughout the course of the week, only because, right, when you do something like that and you win, I think that's like the perfect ingredient to coach your team, right? Because there's a level of guys being happy and excited, but then you can really bring them to reality and allow them to understand, listen, fellas, like this doesn't happen like this often. Like we should have lost this game, right? And because we didn't, right? Because what our offense did, right? And that's why I truly believe football is the greatest team sport on the planet, right? Like the offense, what they did on that last drive was absolutely incredible, right? What Pat Brown was able to do throughout the course of the game was absolutely incredible. And so you can't afford, from a defensive standpoint, to be off, right, on a number of plays, especially in situational football, and expect to be successful.
And why do you think quarterbacks who can run are inherently difficult to defend, right? But why do you think they've had? Is there any overlap you've seen that they've had some success?
Yeah, man. I think that anytime, right? I look at it from the NFL standpoint, right? Every rather running quarterback that's played in the NFL that you can name in the last 20 years, who's had a relatively decent arm, they've been pretty good, right? I think about the Michael Vicks of the world, the Lamar Jacksons. Right, Josh Allen runs at a high clip and runs really, really well, right? And obviously, you got your traditional guys, but they're just a dual threat, man. Like they have the ability when things are not there or they're broken down, they can solve problems with their feet, which adds another layer from a defensive standpoint and a schematic standpoint to kind of cover up. I love when Luke can do that as well, right? You've seen Luke get out of situations with his feet, which has allowed us to either score a touchdown or have a massive game. He had a touchdown on Saturday pulling the ball. Like anytime you can add the element of a quarterback running, that's always a problem. And how many times do teams want their quarterback to run the ball? Shit, it just varies. It varies on kind of the team, but that's just another element that we as defensive coaches got to think about. Now, there's ways to solve that, and we obviously got answers to that. But I think sometimes you go into a game not expecting it. And then that's just an adjustment you got to make throughout the course of the game, And obviously Rutgers ran a lot early, and then later on in the game, outside of early downs on third downs when he started scrambling and kind of doing some things with his creating some longer plays with his feet, especially when our pass rush lanes weren't on point. He was able to get out of some things, but those are all things you take into detail when you try to create a game plan and try to put guys in good positions to be successful.
Is the Kansas game kind of a model for you for that? Or do you go back and look at that game?
Yeah, I try to go back and look at every, especially when we play against similar opponents, from a quarterbacking standpoint, because at the end of the day, like every team in this conference especially has a good has relatively good running back, good O-line, but it's the quarterback that can kind of make the difference, right? Whether he is running around a lot or he can just extend plays with his feet, and so I try to take a peek at those, and I typically have a cut up every week, right, to show to the secondary why we got to plaster. If we're in zone coverage, what do we have to do? Why we got to do it, and so you try to. I'm constantly learning every single week, right, in regards to our players, in regards to trying to put them in the right position,
How difficult is it for you when Mac is seemingly playing pretty good ball to at least the naked eye, but you have a 2-year team captain directly in front of him? How do you balance the when to go which way?
Yeah. It's obviously a fine balance, and like Mac has earned the right to obviously go out there and play, but coach always said you can't lose your position to being having to sit out because of a game or injury, right? And so that's always a constant battle, trying to make sure I give him an opportunity because he is extremely talented, right? And again, this is a good problem to have, right? We have safeties and DBs in our room that we didn't have this issue last year. I was trying to find people to put out there who have grown in this system, and they're really, really, really good, And so what I love about Mac is his attitude, right? How he approaches the day, right? That young man and he's truly a program guy and how he does things, right? And he's going to continue, right, to be a staple for us and earn those opportunities, man. And so, but there is a fine balance. That's why, got to get him on the sub package when we're allowed to, or when we can, right, when we can sub and when we're allowed to sub within the course of a game whether teams are going to hurry up or not, right? And I try to sprinkle him in there from time to time and just give him some opportunity because he does have a very unique skill set that's different than all those guys back there,
I asked you about Jaheim Clark before and his kind of rise here late in the season. What's that kid's ceiling? What are you seeing from him?
He has no ceiling. Like Jaheim Clark has no ceiling. Jaheim Clark can be as good as some of those guys hanging on that wall, man. He is. His only thing is he got to gain a little more weight. Some great growth moments for him throughout the course of the season. He's going to be a special player for us. Extremely talented, obviously. But I would be remiss to say that young man he has no ceiling. He can be as good as any defensive back that has ever walked in and out of this building. Truly, he's really, really special.
What makes him so good?
I think his attention to detail for being such a young player. He's physical. He's very physical to be slight and young. He has a high football intelligence. I mean, it obviously helps being I think he's like a 4.0 student as well. But when you see him, he don't look like much, but he's a junkyard dog, man. He is scrappy as hell. He's physical. He operates with urgency on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? Everything's important to him. I'm talking about like me getting after him in practice, right? To him lining up properly. You know what I mean? And so when you have those kind of young men in your program, they're here, you're going to be successful for a long time.
And I hope I didn't see it wrong, but on that 4th and 10 that he ran out and converted, I don't think there was a spy. But
there was not a spy on that one.
How do you balance that? How do you kind of decide when to pull the plug on that?
It's definitely a fine line. That particular call, we had a very specific rush, right, which was designed to keep him in the pocket. So when you don't have a spy, right, your rush has to be intact to make him throw from the pocket, right? That call was specifically designed to kind of shadow him a little bit, kind of like the when we played against Kansas, right? To literally keep him in the pocket and throw the ball, and we got upfield a little bit, and he was able to pop out and get upfield, but that was something that I think our players can learn from, right? The importance of your job, the importance of your assignment when that call is made, right? Because every call isn't going to have a spy, right? Every third down call isn't going to have a spy, and so. But when you have spies, a lot of times that becomes a 3-man rush, right? So you got to balance on, do you want to rush forward, keep in the pocket and throw, or do you want to spy and you're possibly going to give them a little bit longer time, right, to make that throw, right? Especially based on your coverage. And so it's always a growth step and a learning process, right? And I gotta constantly remember, right? These young men are learning as well, right? They are trying to operate and they are trying to deal with the pressures of being good football players and the pressures of social media and pressures of their family, right? They make mistakes in the game and that's fine. We just got to learn from them. We got to learn from them.
the word is out on Gabe Akis, obviously after 11 games facing some double teams, and we don't know Seth if he's going to be.
Yeah.
Who's got to step up on the outside linebacker?
Everybody,
this week?
everybody. Outside linebackers, DBs, inside linebackers, right? It goes without saying, if Gabe is doubled, that means somebody else has a one-on-one, right? And so if Gabe is double, or if Gabe has 3 people on him, somebody else has to have a one-on-one, and they got to win their one-on-one, right? And so a couple of times it happened Saturday where guys were able to win their one-on-ones, but I think at the end of the day, right, like, that's the kind of attention that Gabe commands, right? And I'm just shocked that most teams waited until the end of the year to do it. You know what I mean? But that's just testament to Gabe, right? He does command that kind of attention because it's not a lot of guys who can just hold up with him one-on-one throughout the course of a game, right? Maybe a drive, maybe a couple of drives, but just right as the game goes on, man, he becomes such a problem because he's so strong, right? He's so athletic, he's so powerful, you know, and just I think that the people around Gabe, the other 10 guys on the field, they have to win their one-on-one, whether they're rushing the passer, whether they're spying the quarterback, whether they're in coverage, right? And so take some of that pressure off of Gabe, right? And there is no pressure on Gabe, but take some as his teammate, take some of that off of him and free somebody else up, you know, to go out there and win their one-on-one.
Seems like Matt Bailey's playing really good ball right now. Where have you seen him grow, and how much is some of that just a testament to literally playing football?
Yeah, it's all. I mean, I would venture to say most of it is testament to just playing football, right? We all knew Matt Bailey was a good player, right? He was. I think it was early in the season, right? He had a couple of struggles only because he hadn't played in a year, right? And the more football Matt plays, the better he's going to be. And right now, like most good players who've started most of the year, you want him to be playing their best football towards the latter part of the season, and he's truly done that, man. I'm really excited for the dude. He's playing at a high level.